Hi guys. Well, I'm disappointed. I'm disappointed in Nigel Farage. And that's from someone who's supported him and followed him for years. I even canvassed for UKIP when Nigel was in charge. Not that I had a lot of great faith in UKIP, but I thought Nigel was the guy that would lead us somewhere. But he's softened. There's a recent interview where he he was asked by a friendly interviewer, not Trevor Phillips, a friendly interviewer asked him if he would support mass deportations. And he wouldn't say yes. He waffled round the question. And that's what the majority of people want. And yet he wouldn't say yes. He's afraid now of being called far right. Well, we need something on the right because the left has destroyed the country. You know, I mean, you can't please all the people all the time. He can't. He's gonna. There was a posting on X after that said he's going to lose his most ardent supporters, and he has. Me for one. I'm disgusted. Disgusted. The very thing that we all want, and he won't agree to it. He won't commit himself. And that's worrying to me. That is worrying. I don't know what he's going to be like if he ever gets into power, gets his feet under the table and gets comfortable. Because it looks to me like he's becoming establishment. I'm sorry to say, because I followed him for years, and I am grossly disappointed. And another thing, let's go outside. Yeah, lovely evening tonight. Another thing, Nigel has been running down Tommy Robinson. Now, I know a lot of you don't like Tommy Robinson, but you've got to think about why. Why don't you like Tommy Robinson? Because I hated him for years when he was in the English Defence League. He started that, didn't he? And he was a handful, and I didn't like him. But we've been brainwashed by mainstream media because the establishment has tried to destroy Tommy Robinson for telling the truth for years. And we've all been brainwashed. And it was a long time before I realised that he is not what we've been shown to see. We've all been brainwashed. I mean, okay, Tommy was a handful when he was a bit of a football hooligan, but it's just young men letting off steam. I mean, I was in a gang when I was 17 in the East End of London. I was in a gang, and we had gang fights. So I was a hooligan, I suppose. But what happens? Young men letting off steam. And eventually we find that we've got a mortgage, responsibilities, and we settle down into being a normal person, you know. But all men, most young men let off steam in some way or another. You can't hold that against him. But he's been struggling to fight the establishment, to tell the truth, to tell these cover-ups. And Nigel's saying, we don't want him. He keeps saying we don't want him. But no, Tommy has never asked to join reform. He's never indicated that he wanted to be part of reform. He's never shown any interest at all. So why is Nigel suddenly saying, we don't want him, we don't want him. He's a criminal, he's a criminal. Again, Nigel's afraid to be called far right. Is he becoming middle of the road mainstream? He's becoming establishment. And that concerns me somewhat. And again, I know a lot of you don't like Tommy, but please search on YouTube and listen to some of his interviews. And you may change your tune because he's trying his hardest to protect our children, your children, and bring the country back to some sort of normality. and he's revealing the truth. Nigel says that he's put in prison for a criminal act because he defied a court order. Well, that case about the Syrian boy, you know, everybody involved, the English boy's family, the school teachers, everybody involved had a non-disclosure order slapped on them. Is that normal? It's not normal in a criminal case. It's political. If the government are trying to cover something up, it's political. And covering up, the government have been covering up for years, all this stuff. And the more you cover up, the deeper in shit you get. And Tommy's been exposing them, and they're trying to destroy Tommy. That's political. It's not criminal. And also there was, Nigel mentioned him about mortgage fraud. It was his son that exaggerated on a self-cert mortgage. How many people have done that? I've done that, to be honest. That's not the end of the world, is it? The mortgage was repaid. The mortgage company got all their money back. Everybody was happy. But the authorities, in trying to destroy Tommy, they raided his house, his parents' house, his son's house, the whole family's house, took away computers, anything, took away everything, and went through everything and brought this case up. And Tommy wasn't really involved, but he did time for mortgage fraud. And it wasn't even his mortgage. Honestly, Tommy has been targeted by the authorities, and we've all been made to think that he's bad. Now, there was even another interview with a Telegraph bod journalist who said that Tommy is toxic. Yes, he's toxic to the authorities, but not to the rest of us. He's trying to help, and he stands up for what he means, to the point of going to prison. How many people would Farage do that? He's becoming a bit weak. Tommy stands up for what he believes in, and he's fighting for us, fighting for our kids. He's not toxic, not to us. He's not a bad guy. And so Farage is, why does he keep going on about Tommy when Tommy has shown no interest in reform? It's a bit weird. There's something strange going on with Nigel, and he seems to me that he's afraid to be called far right, and he's weakening. He's weakening. Will he be a strong leader? I think the strongest person in the country right now is Tommy himself. He's a martyr. He will stand up for what he believes in, and he won't back down. We need people like that. Come on, think about it. Check out his interviews, please. Tommy, he led the biggest and most peaceful demonstration London's ever seen. And he insisted on no violence, no trouble. And he had enough people to control it, and it was well organised, well set up. Huge demonstration he led just to make the point. And then the next thing you know, I mean, he made that point, he made the demonstration, and then he went on holiday to chill out. And the next thing you know, the Daily Mirror has a picture of him on a sunbed in Spain, relaxing, and saying that he was organising riots from his holiday. Lies, such lies. Why would he do that? He's just had the most peaceful, biggest demonstration ever. Why would he then go to Spain and organise riots from there? It's bullshit. And that's what's been happening the whole time, all the way through about Tommy. The mainstream media has been brainwashing us. And I fell for it for years. I fell for it. But it's only since X has allowed free speech, Twitter, and I've been on there and I've seen the interviews and I've listened to them, and he's a very good guy, and it's the sort of people we need. We've got, at the moment, we've got Labour full of uneducated, idiots that have never been in business. And then the Tories ended up with people from public schools who've studied politics. Oh, I don't care, they might study politics all they like. In the old days, we had successful businessmen retire early and go into politics. And the country is like a big business. If you haven't got any business sense, you shouldn't be running the country. Not like these idiots in power now. Yeah, so the authorities tried to silence Tommy over this Syrian boy, where the press all said that he was waterboarded. Now, this Syrian boy, even the school said he was a handful and a lot of trouble. And he threatened an English boy. He threatened to rape and harm the boy's sister. So what did the boy do? Did he beat him up? Did he break his nose? No, he poured some bottled water on the boy's head. Oh, my hair's wet. My hair's wet. Oh, I'm offended. Yeah, if he was at my school in the early 60s, he'd have had his head put down a toilet and the toilet flushed. That's waterboarding. Drop of bottled water. And the press made it out to be a terrible thing. And then Tommy went around and spoke to a lot of people and dug out the truth. And then everybody had a non-disclosure rule to put on them. A big cover-up. And so Tommy tried to reveal the truth, and they put an order on him as well. And he refused. He said, free speech, the truth must come out. So he went to prison for it. How many people would do that? He stood up for what he believes in. And the point is, Tommy became aware of this problem when his own 13-year-old cousin was groomed, weaned onto drugs, raped, and pimped. And when he got the police involved, they blamed the girl, said she was a drug addict prostitute, and didn't even look at the gangs. And this caused Tommy to start to dig and dig and dig. And of course, the authorities just tried everything they could do to shut him up. They threw all sorts of problems at him, threw him in jail and all the rest of it. I mean, what would you do? What would you do in that situation? And what he uncovered was almost unbelievable. And most people didn't believe it. In fact, people are only just starting to wake up to what's been going on. And I can't, why? What's it all about? Why has it been allowed to happen? It's beyond me. Anyway, I've put some links to his interviews, to Tommy's interviews below. Save you searching. Have a quick look. You might change your mind about him. Anyway, if you're still with me, you're a martyr as well. Yeah, and please listen to some of his interviews and see what you think genuinely, logically, not emotionally, logically listen to what he says. And I think you'll see some answers there. Anyway, thanks for listening. I'm sorry if I bored you, but I've just, it's all going crazy. Okay, see you again next time. Bye.
We've just hit 1 million followers. 1.7 billion people reached in the last 3 months. To every one of you, to all 1 million people, I'm very grateful for your following and pushing our message and sharing the truth. So, thanks.